Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Pastor Paul, once again, your life recovery coach, and welcome to Coach's Corner.
Hey, everybody, and this is Chrissy Moore, and I'm the founder of Broken Beautiful Ministries. I am so glad to be here, Coach.
I'm glad because we got our shirts for the year.
Woohoo!
Perseverance and Solidify.
Yes.
The awesome thing also is that you and Holly did a podcast, your
Yes.
very first intro. So let's talk about that for a few seconds.
Okay, so I'm still so excited about what we just did. So we did our very first Broken Beautiful podcast, and we're going to be airing that probably in about a week or so.
Cool.
I think so.
Yeah.
Anyways, you guys, Holly rocked it. She rocked it.
So what were the nuggets?
So the nuggets some of the things we're going to be talking about is Gossip Girl and how gossip affects me.
Hey, girl.
I know. And I told Holly on the show, I was like, it's kind of like Chisme.
Right.
When we were growing
Explain Chisme
up. Explain Chisme.
For the white people.
Okay. So when we were growing up, my grandmother and all of our tias and everything, we'd get together and make tamales.
Right.
For Christmas. So we have this big table and everybody would get together and everybody would say, so what's happening with your next door neighbor's sister's cousin?
Right.
And then we'd be like, oh, let me tell you.
Right.
No.
She didn't just gain weight.
Yeah, it just, And that was the focal point of our conversation. But what we didn't realize back then, because it was just kind of a cultural thing that we would do,
Right.
is some of this gossip can actually affect people. Because what if it wasn't true?
Right.
What if my next door neighbor's cousin's sister wasn't pregnant?
Right.
She really just did gain weight because she had a health issue.
Right.
And here we all are talking about her.
Right.
Because it's something that we did and something you're raised with. But we are going to bring some good nuggets to the table because we're going to help women out there. And guys, just so that you know, Broken Beautiful podcast is for women only. Well, I can't say for women only. It's for women by women. Guys,
I'm going to listen anyway.
You can listen, absolutely, but we're going to have women guests.
Right.
We're going to have a wonderful testimony about purity on purpose.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. We had some good stuff.
I'm excited about that name just because.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, that's an awesome name.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just really, really proud of both of y'all. Like, before Holly left to the store to go and do what she has to do, I was like, I'm really, really proud of you.
I'm proud of her because she mentioned this on the podcast. She's the one, like, you're in the spotlight and you're the one preaching and teaching and whatever. And she goes, I'm just making sure the lights are on.
Right.
I'm making sure everything's right and ready to go. And today she came from the back row to the front row and we had some good conversation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to talk about today, guys, is money matters. What we're basically doing is we're doing our series, and I don't even have the paperwork in front of me, but it's okay. So we're just going to roll with it, guys.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's taken about an hour just to get this backdrop set up, our lighting set up.
Wait, I think I might. Let me see. Do I have the series here? Hold on. We can look for it, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's keep rolling.
We got our coffee in hand.
Coffee.
The next one, we'll probably have my Set Free cup, and she'll have her Broken Beautiful cup.
Yes, actually
Right?
got my Broken Beautiful cup. I loved it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So what this series is about is, what was it, soulmate or roommate?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to bring it up right now.
All right, cool. She's
Okay.
getting it, guys. She's getting it. Chrissy getting it.
Oh, wrong email.
So anyway, let me just be the filler while she's looking for that.
Got it.
We are so excited for 2019.
Yes.
Because number one, Set Free is about to launch in another month.
Yeah.
All right. And so any of you that are out there that are dealing or have dealt with or don't even know sometimes what you're dealing with, depression, abandonment, rejection,
Anger,
divorce, soul ties, grief, perfection,
self-loathing,
all the stuff that we talked about last year. All right. A lot of those podcasts are on our website, setfreelife.net. You can go to brokenbeautifulministries.net. You can click on one of her pages and it'll take you to my site. You can go to my site and it'll revert you to hers also.
Yeah.
But we basically had these conversations last year. And so there's so many people out there that are dealing with stuff that they don't even know what they're dealing with. Right. And so that's why we want to not only just bring the awareness, we're actually launching Set Free Ministry at True Grace Church.
Yes.
And so that's going to be phenomenal. And I just want to give a shout out to Pastor Troy Hernandez. He is the founder of True Grace Church. Really, God is the founder. but let's not be over spiritual
Right.
that we're so heavenly minded.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that it's his vision. It's his vision, his wife's vision, and it's a place that is I think it's freaking awesome. It's a bunch of young adults.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been there.
I've been there.
I mean, there's some seasoned folks like us. See how you seasoned?
I'm seasoned. I'll be 50 this year.
Yeah. Seasoning, like the salt and pepper and a little bit of
50.
garlic salt.
50.
You know what I mean? So, but we don't even look that age.
I'm 35.
Like I'm 46.
I look
I don't
45.
even look 46, right?
I mean, that's
You
God's
don't look
grace
50.
too, right?
You look like 51, but
what?
but anyhow, we are just very, very excited because Set Free is about to launch. Broken Beautiful Ministries podcast is about to launch, and there's some other things that we're working out that are coming that we don't want to say those names yet of the ministries that are about to birth.
Actually said it on my podcast.
Did you?
Yeah.
What, SoulFit?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about SoulFit for a minute.
So, guys, me and Holly got to talk a little bit about this, and this is something that dropped in my spirit. And really, I know God gave it to me because I immediately called Paul and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just know that there's something else birthing out of Broken Beautiful.
Right.
And for me, it was pivotal because, January, we're in January 1. Everybody's going back to the gym. They're working out, getting healthy. Okay, New Year's resolutions. We got to lose weight.
Right.
But what happens when you stop going to the gym?
Right.
Or better yet, you do get that bod that you want, but you're still broken on the inside.
Right.
You know?
The outside looks good.
It rocks.
Inside broken like a mug.
Yes, but you're broken on the inside. And so
Right.
the Lord dropped this in my spirit. And the name of the ministry that's actually birthing out of Broken Beautiful is called SoulFit.
And I love it because it's the same letters as Set Free. SF.
Oh, yeah.
So it's SF Ministries.
That's right.
SFM, because that's one of the logos that Tex made was Set Free, but he also did SFM.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So that's pretty tight.
So we're working behind the scenes on that right now because SoulFit is actually going to be not just for women, but it's also going to be for men.
Right.
So Holly's going to be bringing the holistic side, the nutritional side,
Right.
all that food and the additives and the preservatives and stuff. And then I'm going to be bringing on my end, I'm going to be bringing breaking soul ties.
Right.
Breaking generational curses.
Right.
Because believe it or not, guys, you can get fit in your body, but what about your soul? What are you feeding your soul?
Come on, girl.
So I am so excited.
Preach!
I know it's exciting because we talked about this and it's something on Holly's heart that she loves and
Right.
it's her passion. And my passion is to bring truth
Right.
and to break those ties from the past that keep you bound.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I just want to throw this out there also that for Flow Radio Network, okay, because we are working on, well, she's already working on it, Tanja Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
She's already working on it to where we want to start building the momentum for call-ins, not just us holding the phones like we were and people were calling in and having interviews,
Yeah.
but us actually having our conversations and then people are able to hear it live.
Right.
And they're calling in and she's patching them in just like a radio show, guys.
Yeah.
And so pray about it. Please keep us in prayer because we want to be able to launch that in the next month or so.
Yes.
We're still going to be doing our podcast. It'll still be on our website.
Yep.
However, we're taking it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Thanks to Tanja Palmer because she is the one who is
Thanks, T.
has helped us. She's the one who pretty much launched us and said, hey, let's do this thing. And so I was doing it by myself and then I brought Chrissy on. And it's just been phenomenal.
It is cool because she
3
sat
years.
me when I went there like this.
Right. Red light goes on.
I can't move.
Deer in the headlights. Mack truck coming. Right?
I'm like, I can't move.
You're like, Paul, I'm scared. I'm scared. Well, you can move your mouth, girl. You'll be all right. So we're going to talk. Today's show is going to be about money matters.
And actually,
ahead
Money Matters is from our very first series that we're going to talk about, which is called Roommate or Soulmate.
So let me just break that down
Yeah.
because we had a meeting 2 weeks ago
Mm-hmm.
for about 2019 and what we were going to talk about. And I think we're on the phone at that time before the meeting because we have meetings about the meetings and then we have meetings and more meetings, but they're all effective because we're constantly talking.
Talking all the time.
Always talking.
Talking all the time.
But she started talking about relationships and I'm like, I think you had brought up money matters, like money issues. And I said, you know what? money issues can cause to a relationship not staying fit.
Right.
You know,
Right.
the stitching of a marriage will begin to unweave because of the money issues. And then from there, then we went into what?
I'm sorry.
We went into, we got to do the face ID.
I know, golly. Okay. Then it was sex before marriage and why this is not God's plan.
Right. Go ahead, cancel.
Right.
But also, when your money is twisted, now your relationship intimately is not fit.
Right.
Then you start seeking other fillers. You start looking at the guy at work that smells good and that gives you the intention, or you see the girl in red high heels or just sneakers and a jersey. You know what I mean? Those types of things will cause you to gravitate towards someone else.
Right.
And then when that doesn't take place, now you're in your mind. Let's just be real, right?
Yeah.
You start getting the fantasies of pornography.
Right.
And you start watching porn and you get into that whole area. And this is a subject that hopefully you're not allowing your kids to listen to this podcast or this video. But it's real talk, guys.
It is.
Because when something is not stable, and I know that Chrissy can relate to that because of her past marriage, of the instability and the husband, being hooked on porn and just going through the whole thing of the molestation and the abuse and all those different areas.
Right.
It's important, guys, that your money matter in your marriage.
Absolutely.
Right? So, obviously we're not married because we'd probably kill each other.
We'd kill each other.
But, because you've been married before and longer than I have. So what can you share with somebody today about the money matter issue?
Well, one of the things I can share is when there's lack of money, okay, there's stress. So that's the first thing. You're going to get stressed. And then it can kind of flip.
Right.
So let's say you have a lot of money, and I want to break the stigma real quick because I'm going to have to throw this out there. So I'm going to say the scripture, but then I want us to talk about it because there's a stigma that's out there in the church that is causing people to be bound and not trusting God for increase. Okay.
Right.
So let's look at 1 Timothy 6:10. And this is from the Contemporary English for those of you who are reading along with me.
Okay.
For the love of money causes all kinds of trouble. Some people want money so much that they have given up their faith and caused themselves a lot of pain.
Wow.
So because of this scripture, I believe a lot of people are like, you shouldn't trust God for money because it's the root of all evil.
Right.
And he didn't say that.
Right.
If we go to the New King James Version, it says the love of money.
The greed
is the root of all evil.
Right.
Not money itself.
Right.
Money is something that's going to sustain us. Money pays bills. Money puts gas in our car.
Money is actually one of the most spiritual things that God can trust us with.
Right.
Because of our tithe, our offering.
Absolutely.
Our charity, our stewardship. The story of the talents.
Right.
Oh, yeah. What did you do with your talents? Oh, well, I buried them.
Yeah.
Okay, but it didn't multiply. Right. And so let's face it. If we're totally just seeking prosperity,
right,
for in the kingdom of God, then I believe that's a sin. Right.
Right.
But prosperity isn't only money. If you're prosperous in ministry, if you're prosperous in your business, if you're prosperous in your marriage, if you're prosperous in your relationships, if you're prosperous in your communication, that's where we have to focus on what prosperity really truly is in the body.
Right.
Instead of, and I'm just going to say it, instead of all these prosperity preachers that are just talking about, if you sow this much money, if you sow, Psalms 51 says this. So if you sow $51 for 51 days, you're going to get this 51 blessings. I think that's a load of crap.
Yeah.
Right?
You know why? Because I've been in a situation where I thought I didn't have money for first fruits one year. I didn't. I didn't get paid that Friday. Okay. And they were collecting first fruits money.
Right.
And they said, you've missed the window of opportunity.
You brought an apple, you're supposed to bring a bushel.
And I'm like, oh my God. So I started bawling and crying at church,
Right.
going, God, how would you do this to me, knowing that I get paid next Friday,
Right.
but the windows are open this Sunday,
Right.
not next Sunday, this Sunday.
Right.
So the whole week, I remember crying out to God, going, please, God, have mercy, have mercy. I missed the window. And guess what? The next Sunday, they're like, guess what? You're never going to guess.
There's
The
a
window
disclaimer.
is still open. And so, of course, I was like, I didn't miss it. But that whole week, I fell under so much condemnation.
Right.
How many other people fell under that?
Right.
And what does that do to a marriage?
Exactly.
So going back to the question is, when we didn't have money, it put a lot of stress in our marriage. So then sometimes you need an outlet.
Right.
Let's just say an outlet.
Yeah.
My outlet was maybe going walking. My outlet was crocheting. Yes, I know. I crochet. It's just something that's relaxing to me.
Abuelita.
I know, but don't call me that. However,
It's sissy.
yes, it is sissy. However, for my husband, or late husband, his outlet was pornography.
Right.
Now, granted, it started small, so it was just a little bitty tiny seed.
Right.
Just a real quick glimpse on the phone. And then you put it down.
Just a snapshot.
But guess what?
It remains.
That one snapshot,
You can't unsee certain things.
you can't.
You can't.
But there was stress in the marriage because obviously, we were a young couple.
Right.
We had 4 children together, and bills only increase as children get older.
Right.
And so that filler that he tried to use just got bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where even when we did have money, and we've talked about this before, we've been on the podcast, talked about, I had that 3,500 square foot house. We built it from the ground up.
Right.
I've had that 2007 brand new spanking Suburban,
Right.
straight off the lot, 5 miles on it, all the
Right.
bells and whistles. We had the money, but there was something missing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We had the facade.
Right.
We had the facade, but we didn't have the peace of God. And that peace of God has to rule and reign in your marriage. And it all
Absolutely.
started with the stress from money.
You got to have the foundation.
Absolutely.
There's got to be the foundation of God. It's got to be the foundation of biblical principle of stewardship and taking care of the bills, having that balance,
Mhm.
but also that deeply rooted connection between a husband and a wife.
Right.
It has to be there at all times.
Yes.
I know that even with Holly and I mean, we haven't had like crazy major problems. I mean, every marriage has problems, right?
Right.
But I can still remember that in our financial blisses,
Mhm.
in those months of not knowing how we were going to be able to, not that we were struggling, but we were just overspending. And so I think a lot of, in those seasons, the intimacy that wasn't there because of the stress
Mhm.
really went to us eating out all the time.
Mm.
And so money can twist a marriage in so many different ways.
Yeah. I
Like
didn't even think about that.
Like it can twist it into, well, what comforts the family. And it wasn't just her and I.
Mhm.
It was Colt too. Like that was our thing. That's what like drove us to be happy, was going out to eat. But then we'd get home and we're like, now what? The family unit isn't locked in.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so that's where we have to also be careful and aware
Mhm.
that money does matter.
It does.
Money matters tremendously, and we have to realize and we really have to prayerfully keep it in the back of our minds, in our marriages, in our relationship. Even if you're single,
Oh my gosh. Yes.
act as if.
Mhm.
Like, act as if you're married, or act as if you're not,
Mhm.
because you have to take care of you
Right.
in those moments, right?
Yeah, because even coming from a married point and the stress in a marriage, and now being single,
Right.
the stress is different because I'm a sole provider, and I'm thankful that God has taken care of me. But I also went through that spending thing
Right.
because it was comforting to me.
Yeah.
It's a filler too.
I made the money, so I can spend it.
I should spoil myself.
Right.
I mean, I do get my nails done because that's my treat to myself.
Right.
Although Jess did these, so just that's a disclaimer. But I mean, granted, guys, if you're single and you think, well, I've got it all together because I'm single, I'm flourishing, I've got a great business, I'm saving, but there's still that thing. Don't let that money, like we talked about, just the flip side.
Right.
Don't let it be the root of all evil right here.
Right.
And it causes themselves to have a lot of pain because money can be a filler too.
Absolutely.
It's a filler with food. How about shopping? How about you ladies out there that like, or even guys, because for women it's like, oh, clothes or shoes, but guys,
I'd be shopping like a mug.
Like technical stuff.
Yep.
TVs.
I like shiny objects. Brand new iPad. Brand new. I mean, you look in here behind this camera. I mean, there's a brand new big screen for my computer. I just got blessed with a Mac computer from your daughter, from my spiritual girl. Yeah, I mean, we spend just as much as y'all do.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yep. And we can get carried away because it's becoming a filler to us.
Right.
Because we're trying to fill that hole of maybe loneliness.
Right.
Whether you're married or whether you're single, you can still have loneliness.
Right.
And you can have that filler of money.
And that's a huge battle. That's a huge battle.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily because I've had those moments where I've felt alone. But it's not necessarily like I'm mad at my wife and I'm just seeking other things. No. It's sometimes there's those things that are going on in our spirit, right? That are causing us to isolate even in a marriage.
Right.
So for those single folks out there that think that every moment, your first year, you might be your best buddies. Your first 5 years may be best buddies.
Right.
But at some point you are going to go through those seasons of, right? like you hit the wall.
Right. And I don't mean beat each other up, guys. No. I mean, like, this is a wall and you're going to run into it in a marriage, no matter how great it is. Absolutely.
Because I not ran into, but I used to have my own business. And one of the customers that I had, he was close in like his 90s, and him and his wife were married for like 60 something years.
Wow.
And I said, how did you do it? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, how did you learn? Like, how do you do this thing?
Right.
He said, we learn every single day. And I'm thinking, dude, you're like 90 years old. He said, because we're still selfish. There's times when I don't want to wake up next to my wife,
Wow.
And that's just the truth. And so when money becomes the issue, that's when things can start crumbling and things can go down the wrong path.
Right.
Because it shakes up a marriage.
It really does.
You know what I'm saying? And so we just want you to be mindful, guys, of understanding and knowing that when your money's right, when mama's happy, everyone's happy.
This is true.
Right?
Yeah, this is true. But to the single person, let's say you're single and you're preparing for marriage, don't let money be that thing that draws that person either. I mean, just for me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm praying for my soulmate, for my husband as well, but I don't need to look at him and think his money is attractive to me.
Right.
Because,
although we're believing for somebody that's going to take care of you.
I mean, let's just be real. He's got to have a JOB.
Right. And a good one.
And a good one. But don't let that be the focus, because if money is the focus, then you've lost focus.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Don't let it get blurred.
And that's a good one.
Don't let it get blurred.
Yeah.
Don't be blurred by the bells and whistles that come along with the Cadillac, because sometimes the Cadillac has stinky seats. Right?
I mean,
there might be some mold in there somewhere.
I'd rather have a traditional Cadillac with not all the bells and whistles. It's functional. It's great. Because sometimes the bells and whistles are just too much.
Right.
But I'm not going to say that I wouldn't like a bells and whistles car.
Right.
Because, I mean, I think what we're trying to say is balance.
Got to have balance, guys. You got to be able to have balance.
Yeah.
I love it. So next podcast.
Oh, it's in my phone. It's because this Face ID.
I know, you got to look at it like that.
And not move.
So the next one that we're going to talk about is sex before marriage and why this is not God's plan.
Yeah.
And I really feel like Holly needs to be a part of that one too.
That would be great.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yes.
Because Holly did one with us a while back last year.
Mm-hmm.
And now she just did one with you. And we're really starting to like push her out into the light. Like,
yeah. And she's like, oh, excuse me. No, I don't want to be
right.
there.
You're like, no, you're going to come. I think that would be awesome because I think we can all relate to that topic.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact,
because that'll also, don't mean to cut you off, but I am. That'll also talk about soul ties and the soul ties that have to be broken, because there's those times that you see somebody who's having problems. You see a couple that's having problems, and you can like see it in the spirit saying, both of y'all have soul ties from before.
Right.
So you're comparing your new person with the old person because you're still attached to the old thing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yes. And I got one better for you.
Uh-oh.
Let's say you're not in a relationship.
She's trying to one-up me.
I'm trying to one-up him. If you're not in a relationship, okay, because you just said you see a couple.
Right.
What if you're not in a relationship, but you're scared to be in a relationship because you never got over the past hurt?
Wow.
Of your previous relationship. And so I can actually attest to that.
Right.
Because for the longest time, I've said this before, I share it with my testimony, I hated men.
Right.
Now, I don't.
And she thought she liked them.
No, but I
said,
didn't.
no, you ain't ready.
So 6 months after my husband passed away, I came into the Set Free service, and I'm like, oh, hey, Paul, because you weren't coach then.
Right.
Say, I'm ready to be married. And he looked at me like, what? And,
I'm like, no, you're not.
And I said, no, yes, I am. So then we started our little argument because that's kind of how we do.
Right.
And he laughed and he's laughing. And I'm like, what are you laughing at? I'm so ready. And he's like, no, you're not ready. Right. But you know what? He was really right, because I had so much hatred towards men that had I not gotten healed of that, and I would have carried it into my next relationship. So maybe there's some of you out there that are still single. Right. Okay. And you are waiting for your partner, for your soulmate, for God to bring them. Right. But deep inside, you're still mad at your ex-wife or your ex-husband or your ex-girlfriend or boyfriend.
Or the last date you had with a dum-dum.
Because it didn't work out. You're like, well, why didn't that work out? Kind of like the dumb date I went on.
Baldilocks.
But anyways, that's a whole nother podcast, guys.
Right. A whole nother can of worms to be open.
But, I realized this. Just because it didn't work out with a certain date, yes, they're Christian. Yes, they're following God. Yes, they have a desire. It wasn't the one.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
I had to go through like, oh my gosh, I'm just never going to go on another date again. What an idiot. Like,
right.
We have to experience those things, guys. But it did not cause me to go back and hate men.
Right.
I knew I was healed because I was like, okay, that was an experience.
At least you went and tried.
I tried. I went out there. I stepped out, because I haven't gone on a date since 1988. Let's just be honest. I was married 24 and together 25 years.
Wow.
So I hadn't dated anybody. So now dating now in the 2019, I mean, it's a whole different ball game.
Right.
You got Tinder and people want to hook up. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Right. And then you get ghosted. I mean, I don't even know what ghosted is. She's like,
I can't believe you said that.
She was like, somebody said something about being ghosted. I'm like, what the heck is ghosted?
I got ghosted, guys. So anyhow.
Explain ghosted real quick, because, we always have to have a funny.
So ghosted, it's if you're actually going out on dates with somebody and there seems to be some kind of an interest. They're blowing up your texts. Hello, da-da-da-da-da. And then from one day to the next, you're like, hello?
We called that back in the day. You got dogged out. You know what I mean? You got dissed, homie.
You got dumped.
Yep. Yeah.
But nowadays it's nice. Oh, you got ghosted, darling.
You got, homie.
And I was like, what does that even mean? Is that a word? Is that a thing? But apparently it's a thing. And you know what? Being ghosted is actually hurting a lot of people.
Right.
But the person ghosting the other person is just really not ready for commitment, or they're not woman enough or man enough to go, hey, we've gone out on 2 or 3 dates and I'm just not kind of feeling it.
Right.
I would rather have someone had told me that than to just be like,
right.
Later.
Deuces. Right?
So I just want to bring hope to y'all. I don't know how we got off on this tangent.
I know, right? I don't know.
But I think it's also in the part that we're going to talk about next week, which is why sex before marriage isn't God's plan.
Right.
So, okay, so we'll jump back on that. I made a vow to the Lord to be celibate after my husband passed away. Even before, I was always faithful. But I still made a vow to be celibate because it's okay to be pure on purpose while you're waiting for your mate. I know in today's society, even Christian guys, even Christians are out there sleeping around together thinking it's okay. But let's just be real. If you put a blue construction paper and a pink one and you put glue and they come apart, you've got blue on the pink and pink on the blue.
Oh, I like that.
Right?
I like that. It gets messy.
It gets messy. So it's not God's plan for us to be sleeping around, having relationships.
Cochinos.
I mean,
You know what I mean? Hediondos.
we need to be, oh my gosh.
Todo sucio. You know what I mean?
We need to be mindful to keep our hearts pure, to
Absolutely.
keep our minds set on Him,
Right.
and to be waiting. And let's get rid of the baggage before you find that person, because who wants to take a backpack with you on a date?
Right?
I
Big
mean,
old backpack.
you don't need backpack. Oh, you know what? So-and-so, my ex-wife used to say that. I don't care.
Right. No, don't compare me.
Don't compare me. And that's
Right.
that's a big issue. So I'm glad we're going to be talking about that, because honestly, we need to talk about stuff like that.
That's going to be awesome. So that's what we're going to dive into next week, guys. And we're going to stay on this series.
Roommate or soulmate?
Roommate or soulmate. And then we got some other cool things coming up that we had talked about our last podcast. And so, like I said, guys, we are walking into some exciting things. We appreciate all your guys' prayers. We thank you guys for all of the support.
Yes.
And if you want to support this thing financially, please don't hesitate. Okay. Email me or email Chrissy. You can email me at recoverycoach@setfreelife.net or
at brokenbeautifulministries@gmail.com.
Yeah, so you can hit us up on our websites. You can connect with us on every social media platform that we are on. You can hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And so I think we're about done, right, Chrissy?
Yeah, I just want to leave everybody with this little nugget. Money does matter.
Absolutely.
In the heart of God.
Absolutely.
You know, if He gives you a little bit and you're faithful, He's going to make you ruler over much.
Absolutely.
So if you go out there and think money doesn't matter, I'm just here to tell you that money does matter to God. It's a huge and important part of how He runs ministry, because, you know, honestly, money doesn't fall from the sky.
Right.
And it doesn't grow on trees.
No.
But He does cause us to be responsible stewards.
Absolutely.
And I want to leave you with that. So this year, if you want to get something straight in your life, talk about it, pray about it with your family. Money does matter. And don't be afraid for God to bless you either.
Absolutely. Be ready for it.
Be ready. Prepare yourself mentally, you know, in your heart. Be ready for the blessing, because when you get, let's just say $100,000, what are you going to do with it? What is God going to ask you? What did you do with the money that I gave you?
Stay ready so you never have to get ready.
Yep.
So once again, this is Pastor Paul, your life recovery coach. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
God bless.
Bye.